So what you might have noticed is that when you save this stuff, it saves just fine, no big deal. But if you log in as another user, it looks like these are the defaults, like when it's actually the answer is actually red, but it's selected as blue. That's kind of a mistake, actually kind of a big one. So what we're going to do is back into our template and all, where it says if ABC, we're going to add and abc.user equals to request.user. Basically what this is saying is in this user answer set, if the user that for that specific set is the request.user and ABC is true, then put checked. And we can just add this in to all of our other areas. So right here we used ABC as well, so we can add that again. And then of course we want to do the same thing down here to our user answers. And then we save that. We go back in here. Nothing should have changed. So, you save an answer and it saves it. The part that would have changed is if you log into a new user and add some answers and stuff like that, it's going to look right. So we just basically made it look right. Okay, cool. So now in questions, we are going to add a new thing. It's going to be our matching algorithm. We're going to make it its own file. This is not a Django file. This is just a Python file because we are working in Python here. So I'm actually just going to paste in the functions that are going to give me the match percentage. These are things that I kind of thought through myself. You can feel free to ask me questions about them, and I would be happy to kind of respond. Real quickly, I'll just kind of tell you what's going on. In this points one, it's taking one user's preferred answers, and then it's comparing them against the actual answers from another user. So if we go into our Chrome here and go to questions, it's taking what I want them to say and then what they're actually saying. It's taking those first, and then it's iterating through each one and then adding the total number of questions that they've both answered, and then adding the points possible for each answer. Remember, we assigned points here. And then it's checking whether or not that answer is correct. And if it is correct, it's going to add those points to points awarded. Once it does that, it's going to take the percentage of the points awarded divided by the points possible. So that would be the percentage based off of one user's one-sided match. But we need a two-sided match. It needs to be dual. It needs to be what I think you should answer and what you actually answer, in addition to what you think I should answer and what I actually answered. So then we make this new function, and that's what this does, is it runs through each one-sided part of it with the points, and that's what these two are. And then if it's just checking to make sure that we have the right number of questions, otherwise we did something wrong. And this is kind of possibly unnecessary, but it's a good fail-safe. And then we are going to make a percentage out of it. So it's taking the product of these two percentages. It's taking those two together, and then it's making this new percent. But that is not an official match. It's actually going to be lower than the official match. So we're taking that percentage. We want to take the nth root of that, and n in this case is the number of questions. So if you have a certain amount of questions, if you take 100 questions and then you're multiplying the percentages that way, it's going to be a little bit closer of an answer. So you don't have to understand the math exactly, but it does work. And then the full match percentage is actually taking that nth root. And that's how you do it, because it's 1 over this. Otherwise, that's normally an exponent. And of course, in math, if you have 1 over a number, it's taking that root of that number. So 1/2 in percent to the 1/2 exponent would be the same thing as n percent, the square root of n percent. So that's what that's saying. In this case, it prints the match percentage, but it also returns it. So what we need to do then is go into our views and into our single user. We want to add this line here. So what's going on is we're going to do match equals match percentage of the request user and the single user. So this order actually doesn't matter as far as the users go, because it's two-sided now, where points, the order of points, did matter because it was one-sided. So these are two-sided. when we're doing the match percentage, it's one-sided, or it's two-sided, excuse me. Okay, so the reason you can still see this stuff is because I want it to be nice and clear and easy for you to understand. What's going on here is it's rounding this number because this match percentage is going to be some long string of number. It's going to be like 0.7523, blah, 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 blah. But we want it to be a nice, clean 4-digit number. So we'll round it to 4 digits. That's going to be the 2 digits after the decimal point once we multiply it by 100. So 4 total digits, and it's going to round it right to that, which gives you a nice match percentage for that specific user. Then we can take this, go into all, and, not all, but single users template. So down into profile, single user. And then above info, that's where I actually added it. I added match and then match percentage, saved it. And then back into Chrome, if we look at our user, we can look at James Bond. He has a 66.5% match. Of course, we did actually answer questions for Bond and stuff like that. So I would encourage you to feel free to play around with these questions. Something that's going to be kind of interesting is to see how your user matches against itself. So if you click on that, you're not going to have a perfect match. And why is that? It's because of how you answer your questions. So in this first one, if all of them were exactly the same, like this, then you would have a 100% match. But they're not all the same. In this case, look, so you like to work early in the morning. That's mandatory for you. Their answer, the afternoon or around noon is fine, and that's only a little of importance. If you raise it up a little bit, your score is going to change. And then if you have a camera, that's somewhat important. So that's actually a pretty good score so far. But let's see what the score is now that we changed that answer. It's 83%. You are an 83% match to yourself, Justin. But anyways, it is kind of volatile, basically because we don't have that many questions answered. So that's essentially the matching algorithm. Of course, if we had a ton more questions and we actually answered them and all that, then you would have a really nice match percentage. So it would be our job to kind of encourage these users to constantly answer more questions. All right, so in the next one, we are going to be discussing how to use this match percentage and assign suggestions for jobs.